because we're not just going to talk about my own mental health, but yours. And I want to send you off to the new year on a positive note with positive energy and maybe some little tips and tricks to help you in your mental health journey and to just send you off positively, you know. So I thought that this would be the perfect time to film this video. I hope that you're cozy, comfortable, and ready, and I'm just going to dive right into the questions that you've asked. I have my phone here, and I'm going to read your questions. Before we start, I want to give my disclaimers, and that is that A, I am not a mental health professional. I am a social worker. I have knowledge, but I am not here to advise you, and don't take everything I say literally and directly. Take what resonates and leave what doesn't. I'm just a person on your screen, and I don't know you personally, even if you asked a question. So keep that in mind. You know yourself best. And if you are worried about your mental health, please reach out to your doctor and people physically around you in your personal life. Okay? Okay. I don't feel like it's necessary to talk about my own mental health journey that much. I've talked a million times about my burnout recovery. There are other things in my past that have greatly impacted my mental health and have contributed to me going to therapy. I have been in and out of therapy for almost 7 years now, so I've got a lot of experience with that. But I did learn so many tips and tricks along the way, and that makes me a big fan of therapy. Like, talking to a professional, it's what they are there for. We're gonna start off nice and light. How to make life-changing decisions. You're gonna hear me say this a lot probably, but take things one step at a time. And that's just all I can say about this question right now. Making life-changing decisions is a long process. You don't have to do that at 10 p.m. at night. You don't suddenly have to figure out everything while you're in bed ruminating. So allow yourself time to make decisions. I would say ask a couple of people for their take, but not too many, because your mind will get clouded by advice from 1,000 people. For me personally, I can't hear my own voice anymore if I've asked too many people for advice. I really learned that. Know that making big life decisions are also still temporary, because everything will always be changing, and you can make a decision to move somewhere now, thinking you're going to be living there for 20 years, but maybe in 5 years you make up your mind and you want to go somewhere else. So try to think ahead, but not too far, and give yourself grace with that. You don't have to have everything figured out within the decision that you want to make, you know? Like, I don't know what type of decisions we're talking about here, but that's what I would say. Ways to stop comparing yourself to every single person on social media. I feel you. I've been there. Sometimes I'm still there. I think everyone can relate to this. What helps me to not compare myself to other people on social media is active brain work, which a lot of the things I'm going to be talking about are. I did a lot of cognitive behavioral therapy in my days at therapy, but the thing is, if you want to change the way you feel, you have to change the way that you think and create new pathways in your brain. What helped for me was distancing myself from social media in general and focusing more on my in-person life. I unfollowed basically everyone at one point, and it's a bit different because I have a public page, and for privacy reasons I unfollowed literally everyone I know personally, and I made a private account and I followed my closest friends and family on there. But also on my public page, I only follow like 20 people, and they're people who are ASMR creators or people that truly inspire me creatively and who make me feel good about myself. Actively remembering that the grass is not greener on the other side, and everyone deals with something, helps me a lot. A person's life can look so beautiful, but it still wouldn't be a life that I want. I'll try to think of an example. If you look at Nara Smith on Instagram, who is a model, she's a young mother, she gets scrutinized for literally absolutely fucking everything. One person could look at her and think, I am jealous of her, look at how she's living. And I think that the people who are making fun of her are also somewhere jealous, you know. But living the hectic life of a model and having a team around you to raise children, or whatever it is that they are struggling with, being scrutinized by so many people online, that impacts you as well. I don't want her life. So I can look at her and see the things that inspire me and take those with me and leave the rest with her. I've spent a lot of time in therapy learning that what's mine is mine and what's someone else's is someone else's, and leaving it with someone else. This kind of covers more questions that other people ask, but we worked with the towels a lot in therapy, and how I have my own towels that I'm holding, right? So my own issues, things that are on my mind, where my focus is at, things like that. And if someone comes to sit with me, I really used to take their towels out their hands and just take them over, and I will hold them for you so that you have your hands free. But I didn't have my hands free to begin with. I had my own things. And to have someone be with you in a space, having a conversation, and leaving their towel with them, because it's their towel, that made the biggest impact on my mental health. Because it also translates to social media, because I can now just look at social media and not make it my own. I'm just looking at something. And also maybe a little bit of mindfulness of, like, I'm holding a device in my hand, I'm still in my own space, I'm just looking at this. I think we've all had that thing where you're just waiting outside a store, waiting for a friend, or waiting on the bus. You open your phone, you scroll, you see something that pisses you off, your mood is ruined, or you see something that brings up your insecurities or whatever, and your mood is suddenly shifted, and you're like, what the heck? Because all I did was stand here and open my phone. I'm still in the same space. Practically no time has passed. I feel vastly different. All of that happened internally. And for me, having learned those things in therapy and with mindfulness, I can bring myself back to here and now and distance myself from that. I hope that maybe helps. Just remember that nobody's life is perfect. Just because a person is doing something cool or something makes you feel envious of them, take that feeling that you have, that envy, and cultivate it into something that brings you joy, because it is telling you something, that feeling. So if you feel jealous of someone who lives in a certain house that is decorated a certain way, okay, take that inspiration, make a Pinterest board. What do I actually want my space to look like then? And head over to the thrift store, go antiquing, cultivate things that have inspired you from that, and what you want to implement into your life then. You see where I'm going with that? Your feelings, whatever it is, your emotions, says something about you and how you are feeling. If someone walks past you, or you have a friend that just annoys the shit out of you for their behavior, I've often learned that resistance in an emotion, or in an interaction, your resistance is often because they have something that you want, or they have something that you have actively tried to get rid of yourself. Like there's always something that ties back to you and how you feel about yourself. And I think that that's a really powerful thing that you can really use to re-inspire you and positively impact your day-to-day. I'm yapping already. This strong start. to say about body image issues, because I've definitely had struggles with body image and confidence about my body. For me, it was more of an internal body thing than external. Definitely also external, because mostly of social media. I think also with age, that becomes a little bit easier. I have found when I was a teenager, I was so focused on my body and the way that it looked and the way that it, I could sit in a certain position and be prettier and be perceived as more desirable or whatever it was. And over years that became less. But when I was 15, I got confronted with very severe health issues. I developed a heart condition, spent weeks in the hospital, spent the rest of my 2 high school years on an adjusted schedule, having no energy. And that made me look at my body in a very different way. So my insecurities come more from inside of my body and what I can do, and trusting what I can do. As you may be able to imagine, it's quite scary because it kind of happened out of nowhere. It was due to an infection. Someday I will make a video about it. I still have the heart condition, but I can function normally. But it will always be a factor in my life. I will always think about it in ways. What really helped me with body image, because I also had moments where I lost a lot of weight and had to regain my strength. I'm at that place now where I have no strength in my body because of the past 2 years, and I'm rebuilding that, and that brings a lot of body image issues. So that's the perspective where I'm coming from. That's why I'm saying this, because I can't speak for everybody and the wide variety of feelings that you can have towards your body. I think that focusing on your body internally will help shift your perspective on body image immensely. I think that with media, beauty standards, yada yada yada, we get taught that our body is something, that needs to be desirable, Even the fact that body types are trending and sometimes not trending is disgusting to me and so sad. Shifting that perspective to the inside, you have this body to experience life. You have eyes to see colors. You have a nose to breathe fresh air in through and out through. You can smell coffee and tea and cinnamon and whatever scents you love. You can smell the forest after it has rained. Your body is made for that, for taking in those smells. Your body is here to feel fabrics on your skin, to have sex and orgasms and explore, and to feel the wind on your skin, and to taste delicious foods, to hear beautiful music and sounds. Look at what your body can do. Look at this vessel that you have to experience. And especially as women, we are taught to be very aware of our bodies. You can be in your room and think, oh my god, my hair looks disgusting, and adjust it. You can be so painting or doing a craft and then still changing your posture because that's not very cute girl of me. Whatever it is, you know how sad it is to be pulled out of a moment because you became aware of your body and the way that it looks and the way that it's presented while you were having an experience. The amounts of times that I really got pulled out of the moment during sex because I was like, I'm in a weird position, this looks silly, whatever it is. How sad. I feel like when I started learning about that shift and started to feel that shift, and once again, active brain work, so when I am super focused on my appearances, actively changing that in my brain too, but look at what it's doing and look at what I can do. And I can feel the clothes on my body. I am able to taste tea. And that's fucking that makes you so strong. And really feeling that and honing in on that will make you more confident as well. I struggle a lot with ruminating. I am very rarely able to put a thought to bed. Advice. Ooh. I do have advice, but I want to say that this is something that I really struggle with too. I have a couple little things that help me. The biggest one is that me and my friends say this to each other as well, to keep each other accountable sometimes, but nothing serious after 9 p.m. And that means that if at 10 p.m. I'm ruminating about a man, for example, and I have this unfinished argument in my head, and I'm in a situation where I have no closure on something, right? Someone also asked a question about this. If you have no closure and you're ruminating about all those things, for example, I allow myself time to think about it, and then I bring myself back to the here and now, because no serious business after 9 p.m. I don't have to have an answer right now. And just that phrase, I don't have to have an answer right now, has done a lot for me this past year. Sometimes when you have a conversation with someone and it's difficult, you don't have a conclusion right away to that conversation. And that's the same with the things in your mind. And so learning that it is okay to pause it and to come back to it later, and that you can do that, is really powerful. If you feel like you can't put the thought to bed, maybe you can say to yourself, okay, I'm gonna set a timer to think about this, and then I'm gonna park it for tomorrow if I'm not finished with the thought yet. And oftentimes in the morning, like, the thought is gone, or you have a different perspective. Everything looks different in the daylight, and that's really something that I hold on to, is I'll think differently about this tomorrow, I'll feel differently about this tomorrow. I journal a lot, so I get it all out on paper, and that really helps me too. Maybe you can make a voice memo for yourself, or whatever it is that you can just release it. Might also really help. I know that it's really hard, especially at night, but I hope that these little things helped. It's always worth giving it a try. How to comfort someone without being toxic positive or seeming fake. I think that this is a really good question. I find this hard too, because I'm definitely the friend that will grab you by the shoulders and give you a pep talk. But sometimes that's just not what the person needs. So what I like to do is ask, what do you need from me? Like, do you just want to talk? Do you want advice? Do you want a hug? Do you want, like, can you tell me what you need? And I adjust to that. Sometimes I'm midway through giving my advice and I'm like, oh, I'm sorry, I'm giving you advice. Is that okay? Or do you want something else? Because it's your thing. And also, holding space for how they are feeling. Sometimes all they need is a listening ear. And yeah, I know that really sucks, and I'm really sorry that happened to you. You deserve so much better. Those are little ways where you can be comforting without being toxically positive. Sometimes people just need to process their emotions on their own terms, and whatever you could say wouldn't help them anyway, because that's not where they're at in their heads right now. And that's okay too, and all you have to do then is, let them know that you're here. If they want to reach out, that they can, and you'll be here. And if they need anything, they can just let you know, and maybe check up on them. I think that those are all ways to be there and to comfort them, and maybe make a little joke every here and there. If someone is sad over someone, I'll usually say, like, if you want me to egg their house, I will. Things to maybe lighten the mood a little, but not to dismiss their feelings, but to bring them back to here and now. That's really what I like to do. I'm definitely someone who zooms out a lot in emotional situations to help myself gain perspective, and that's also what I try to do in comforting friends. But sometimes they are just not there, and that's okay, and it's their thing, and they deserve all the time that they need to process that. How to make In the Netherlands, we have a healthcare system where often if you start a therapy journey, you have like maybe 6 to 8 appointments, and then it's good luck. So you're in therapy for like 2 or 3 months, and then you're on your own already. You don't really get check-ins anymore after that. And I really feel like that's where the work really starts. I'll feel a little bit more confident by the time it's like the appointments end, but you learn so many random tips and tricks, but maybe just focusing on 1 or 2 at a time. It can be really overwhelming to learn so many new things, and it's like you're like trying to remember them all and use them all, but oh, in this situation I didn't act so and so, and oh, but I had to. It's okay. It's okay, and you can still fuck up as well. It's fine. It's fine. You have learned so much, and that's already like take it a step at a time, and just taking a couple, and not all of the things you learned, but writing them down so you don't forget, or coming back to them later. But really, like making it small. That's what I like to do personally. Did you ever experience sleep deprivation because your mental health blocked something in you? Yes. I didn't realize it till my sleep was okay again, how poorly I was sleeping, if that makes sense. I was, ruminating a lot, and I just couldn't shut off my brain. It just would not shut the fuck up, and every thought felt important, and I couldn't distance myself from them. I was in them, and that's really hard because you're just in a dark tunnel. Where is the light? Make it stop. I need to sleep. I would also get sleep anxiety of, oh my god, I'm only getting 6 hours. Oh my god, 5 hours. Oh, 4. Oh, my day is gonna be ruined. Blah, 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 blah. It would be endless. I tried to remember that even though I was incredibly tired and my day wasn't phenomenal, I still survived every day that I was really tired. And that's kind of also the period where I discovered guided sleep meditations. I was already watching ASMR, but that was too distractive for me. That's also why I made the ASMR guided sleep meditations, because I wanted to combine the two. And really focusing back on my body here and now, that helped me at least get some sleep. And if I would wake up 2 hours later, I would put that same meditation back on again and go back to sleep. And if I had to do that 5 times a night, whatever, at least I got maybe 3 hours of actual sleep. And I also discovered yoga nidra, which was for me during the day a wonderful time to catch up on sleep, because I'm not the best napper. I have a really hard time during the day, especially shutting my brain off. And I wake up disoriented and everything. And yoga nidra really guides you through a state of relaxation and has a bit of a wake up in it as well. And that really helped me to find rest during the day. And the things that I use and do, they vary throughout the days and depend on my needs in the moment. But sleeping with earplugs, a sleeping mask, putting on a guided meditation, things like that all helped. Taking magnesium for me was a big thing. At some point you're just gonna have to try random things out and treat it like an experiment. If you know that you're gonna be sleep deprived, you might as well play around and see what things work for you. Maybe it helps for you to stretch in your room before you go to bed so that your body is moved a little at least. You've moved your energy around. Yeah, things like that. How to not always be too hard on yourself. I love others, but I'm too conscious of myself. I'm sorry that you're feeling that way and that you're struggling with that. I can be very strict with myself. I have a rule book in my head that I have to follow sometimes. And it took me a long time and therapy to realize that that voice was definitely based on things that have been said to me in the past and childhood things, and was on sick leave from my burnout, I had a company doctor that I would call to, and we would discuss my reintegration. I don't know if that's translated properly, but she would always say, "What would you say to your best friend?" And I know that this is not groundbreaking advice, and that's not new, but actively telling myself, asking myself, what would I tell my best friend in this situation, and choosing to be my own best friend. If, I'm working a lot, or I'm really stressed about that, and just, hyper focusing on that, I can get very hyper focused on something to the point where it will physically give me a headache that I'm so far down a certain rabbit hole and I can't get myself out. I really stop and think, what would I tell my best friend right now if she was coming to me with this same mindset or this same inner monologue or dialogue, or with this dilemma? What would I tell my best friend? And there very often lies the answer. And then it's the art of actually acting upon that. I think that that's a journey, but I have really, really befriended myself. And I also gained a lot of confidence from that, from showing up for myself and being my own best friend. And a best friend also sometimes grabs someone by the shoulders and is like, "Bitch, I love you, but that was not right." With love and care, leaving space for improvement and development. What self-care acts made the biggest difference in how you felt after your burnout? That's a good question. I think that it was just the combination of a lot of things. The biggest self-care acts for me really were to rebuild a routine and finding routine. It's something that I still struggle with on and off. I have a second channel where I do vlogs and stuff, and I talk a lot about routine there as well. Or I have made some videos about that. But routine and doing things repeatedly, showing up for myself repeatedly, was a really good reminder that I can take care of myself and that will come again. Even if in some ways I couldn't, or things were a lot harder and I didn't have the space to do them, there were other things that I did do. So brushing my teeth, washing my face, maybe I didn't put on makeup, whatever, I had a clean face and I showed up for myself. And slowly adding to that, going for little walks and then maybe a bit of a longer walk and then maybe a bit of a longer walk, giving myself little activities where I could see improvement, because that's very motivating, of course. Writing it down on the tiniest to-do list in the world, but still ticking that off, getting that little dopamine rush. Oh, scrumptious. I think that those little things really impacted me. How did you start to build the habit of meditating? I find it hard to discipline myself. I started using apps. So I've talked a bunch about different apps that I've used before. I've worked with Aura before, who I still use. And that really helps. I can be really strict with myself too, and I find it hard to discipline myself. I want to meditate every day. In my ideal world, I do it every day. However, for me, I've realized that that's just too big of an ask of myself right now. And so I'm finding ways to still do it every day, or maybe just multiple days a week, so that at least I'm still doing it instead of just stopping entirely, which I really have a thing with. If I have to do something and I fail once, I don't do it again. So if I fall off with meditating every day, I just won't do it for 2 weeks entirely, which is so sad because I could have done it at least 3 times in that 2-week span, Remembering that meditation is something that helps and benefits and is a positive experience, for me, is a good reminder. And just maybe doing 5 minutes sometimes, and maybe 10, and then maybe some days you do want to do the 20-30 minutes, maybe an hour, but I will either do it right before I go to bed, or I'll do it in bed and I'll do a guided sleep meditation, or I will do it immediately in the morning. So having dedicated moments for it, having a dedicated place in your room, a little bit of a ritual, maybe light a candle or something to initiate the act of meditating, that really helps me as well. The last question I want to get into is how to deal with loneliness. This was asked a lot. I know that a lot of us are dealing with that, and it's a heavy feeling to have. It can come in many ways, of course. You can feel physically lonely, or you can feel super lonely in a room full of people. I've felt both ways in different phases of my life. I think if I'm lonely, I find it really hard to get myself out of that feeling. Going outside for a walk in the woods will always make me feel less alone if I focus on the fact that the trees are alive and there are birds in the sky and there are animals and there's life around me. If I can't get out of my head, a walk in the woods will make me feel even more alone because there's like no one around. So that does depend on the headspace that I'm in. I will call a friend because I know that I do have friends and they do care about me and want to know how I'm doing. And sometimes I need to get out of my isolation hole if I'm lonely and take that step. Sometimes I just sit with my feelings and I take a hot shower, make some warm tea, watch a comforting YouTube video, watch Gilmore Girls or something, or an old rom-com, or maybe not a rom-com. Depends on what type of loneliness I'm feeling, of course. Indulging in little hobbies that make me really happy, that have no result. Sometimes I'll make an ASMR video because that will, that makes me feel less alone. Making music, or just drowning myself in music, listening to an album, having a big cry, anything really. I think it's with any emotion that you feel, it's good to find a balance of letting the wave wash over you, or swimming against it, or surfing the wave. I know that sounds very vague and metaphorical, but drowning in it for me, or letting it wash over, is just to feel the emotion deeply and have that self-pity for a moment, which is okay. You don't have to push everything away that you're feeling. But then deciding to get back on your feet, surfing the wave, working with that feeling, finding ways to make yourself feel better. That was my answer. I hope that helped in some way. Just know that you are not alone in feeling lonely, and there's always someone awake in the world who is a lot more similar to you than you think, and they're doing it, and you're doing it too. We're all just doing the best that we can. That's all that we can do. Okay, to end this video on a positive note and to send you off into the new year with good energy, I asked you guys on Instagram as well to share with me little ways that you show up for yourself. I bet that you have ways where you show up for yourself. Sometimes we don't celebrate these moments and how special they are. And I'm just going to share the list with you. For the Girl Talk videos next year, I think that I'm going to move them over to my second channel where it won't be an ASMR, because as much as I love ASMR and I love making these videos, I want to use my out loud voice for these topics, and I don't want to whisper about them. It's just an expression thing that I find really limiting, and I feel a little bit more free if I can do it in my out loud voice. So if you would be interested in more of that, definitely subscribe to my second channel and let me know what topics you would want me to talk about next. Just know that these were my favorite videos to make. I might make one here as well later on. They just won't be a regular thing, which they kind of were much, and I'm truly sorry about that. But yeah, I really still enjoyed making them, and I'm glad that you guys enjoyed them. I hope that they brought you something, and I hope that you are taking care of yourself. Here's the list. Trying to do 3 things that scare me weekly, so someday I won't be afraid anymore. Making my little coffee every morning and taking the time to enjoy my own company. Making sure to always wake up at 8 a.m., even if there's nothing important to do that day. I always find a clean, tidy environment helps me feel a little better. Thinking of stuff I like or to do and implementing them in my planning so I don't forget. I'm learning to have fun while relying only on my own company sometimes. Prioritizing sleep and giving myself permission to be selfish once in a while. Going for a walk, reading a book, color in my coloring book, take a nap, let myself rest, drink water. Time for hobbies. Honoring how I feel in the moment and trying to respond with respect and care. Eliminate the word should from my vocabulary. I write everyday positive affirmations about myself. It's been hard because of fatigue, but I try every evening to cook a simple yet nice dish. I write affirmations on my mirror and smile at myself in the mirror. I often go into the city just to look at clothes. I go to the cinema, take an absurd amount of walks around the city, and read little poetry sentences. I journal a lot and set limits on my social media apps. Prioritizing my 8-hour sleep over everything. Doing at least one thing for myself during the day, reading, cooking, or taking a walk. Cleaning up the kitchen before I go to bed every night. Very earth sign of me, lol. And going outside and seeing the sun in the morning, first thing, it makes me feel grounded. I love to take pictures or videos of things that make me happy throughout the week. Surrounding myself with women that inspire me. Yes. I buy myself things I know my younger self would have enjoyed. Sleeping in, buying that sweet treat. Baking, finally saying no to things I don't want to do. Girly Pop, I am sending you so much love and strength for the next year. I hope that you find many little moments to enjoy. I hope that you are surrounded by women that inspire you, whether it's online or offline. I hope that you find power within yourself. I hope that you have a beautiful night's sleep. I hope that you run into many pets on the street that you can pat along the way on your walks to wherever it is. I hope that you get to enjoy the sun on your skin. I hope that you'll be in good health. I hope that you make the most of it and take your time and know that everything is always and ever changing. You are a lot stronger than you think. You are beautiful inside and out. You are so worthy of love and care and of enjoying this time that we have here. Thank you so much for spending this time with me.